You know, there were a lot of frustrating aspects of this game that the Bulls just played against the Phoenix Suns, and I'll talk about those in a minute, but I think the most frustrating thing for me was to see the overwhelming negativity and reactionary comments from Bulls fans during this game, whether it be on the live chat that I host for every game or just through Bulls Twitter. And I know it's not all Bulls fans, and of course we all have high expectations of our team, even when they're not that great like they have been in past years. But like, are we really going to sit here and not try and act like the Bulls were playing the best team in the league on a second half of a back-to-back and the fourth game in 5 nights, and doing so while being shorthanded without some of their key rotational players? I don't know, I guess I'm just getting kind of tired of the reactionary fans who are prisoners of the moment, who have completely forgotten that this team is obviously not going to be the same when you're missing guys like Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. Don't get me wrong, there were a lot of poor plays in this game, and overall the Bulls were disappointing in a number of ways, but this is the Phoenix Suns we're talking about, and hell, the Bulls even went on a run in the fourth quarter to make it respectable when it looked like the Suns were going to blow us out of the water by 30 plus points with the gap that they were able to make in the third quarter. And I'm more so talking about the run where they cut the lead to 9 points with about 5 minutes left to go when DeRozan was putting the team on his back, not the bizarre run when the starters were pulled and garbage time suddenly turned into Malcolm Hill going off and made it look like it was a close game. But yeah, the amount of comments I saw in the live chat, which you guys know, I love you all who join the live chats, but some of the comments about how the Bulls are pretenders, how we're never going to win a championship with this crew, Billy Donovan's an awful coach, trade Coby, trade Lavine, trade Vucevic, the Bulls are trash, like the list goes on, and I'm sure some of you were just trolling, but I know some were also dead serious, and it's like, do we need to remind ourselves just how bad this Bulls team was over the past 5 years or so? Like, do we need to remind ourselves just how much of a laughingstock the Bulls franchise was across the NBA because of how poorly management handled the team? Like, we had Jim Boylen as our head coach. Jim Boylen. We lost to the Celtics by 56 points in one game. We could barely string 25 wins together in a season. And here we are complaining about a losing game against the best team in the league, shorthanded and playing in a back-to-back. I don't know, it just baffles me. Like I said, you guys know I love you all, but some perspective is also a little nice in these as well. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't me saying, oh, this Bulls team is perfect when healthy, or we're title contenders when we're healthy. Like, no, this team still has a lot of work to do. And I've actually always said I don't think this team is quite there when it comes to title contention. And I think there were a lot of things that happened tonight that highlighted this. I think most notably the defense, which again, we knew wasn't going to be great when you're without some of your best defenders. Also, shooting wasn't great tonight, but of course I'm sure fatigue is also playing a factor. But I think the thing that disappointed me the most was that the Bulls came out and played hard in the first quarter, even though they fell behind, and then completely fell off and showed little energy in the second and third quarter. Ball movement was optional in this game. You had guys standing around watching others make isolation plays. Like, the Bulls had 0 assists in the second quarter. 0. That can't happen. And I will say it's frustrating because some of that is on coaching. Like, we know how much better this team is when there is ball and player movement. When guys are just playing for themselves and creating ISO plays from the mid-range and missing those jumpers, pull them out, sit them down, have a talk with them, make adjustments. The Bulls had 18 assists in total, and you all know by now when the Bulls have less than 20 assists, the game generally ends in a loss. The other thing from tonight, remember, like I said, I was still going to highlight all the things that were not pretty, but again, this is just for the game. I still think it's good to put things into perspective, but the other thing that bothered me tonight, the Bulls didn't get much help on offense outside of Lavine and DeRozan. And really, it was DeRozan in the fourth quarter. I believe Zach actually only had 2 points in the fourth quarter alone. Vucevic, after having the best stretch of his season, tonight he goes 6 for 15 from the floor, 0 for 3 from deep, and 12 rebounds. We needed Vucevic scoring tonight, and he just didn't have it in him while being guarded by DeAndre Ayton. Coby White had an okay game after missing the last 2 games, but we still needed to see more from him, especially with Io having a bad game tonight. Coby was 3 for 7 with 13 points. Outside of Coby, you really didn't get much production off of the bench, with the exception of the garbage time offense, of course. DeMar DeRozan, I mean, for a guy who just played last night and put up 45 points without Lavine, I expected him to have an average game tonight just purely from fatigue, but no, the guy continued to show up well down the stretch. He puts up 38 points on 16 for 27 shooting, 5 rebounds and 4 assists, and then Lavine, a solid first 3 quarters, which you kind of expected that Lavine would come out with the most energy given he's been able to rest the last 2 games. He scored 32 points on 9 for 20 shooting, 4 for 7 from 3, was a perfect 10 for 10 from the line. He had 6 rebounds and 8 assists. He was getting it done with his passing too, which was nice to see. But Lavine just did not show up well in the fourth quarter. His shot selection was very poor. He was often trying to do too much, which led to easy one-and-done possessions where the Suns capitalized on the other end. Now, I'm not saying Lavine was the reason we lost this game, because that couldn't be further from the truth with everything else that he did. And even those missed shots and layups after the Bulls had cut the lead to 9, like, it probably wouldn't have made that much of a difference in the grand scheme of things. The Bulls were likely in a little too deep by that point and not able to generate an insane comeback against the best team in the league. But I don't know, I guess I just have higher expectations of Lavine and need to see him make better decisions in crunch time like we see from DeRozan, because Lavine is the future of this franchise. DeRozan only has so many years left in his career. Also, Dosunmu kind of came back down to earth tonight. Granted, for a lot of these guys, I'm sure fatigue is really just starting to set in, but Ayo only 2 points tonight, couldn't hit his shots. He was 1 for 7 from the floor, 0 for 4 from 3. He also didn't have a single assist after posting some of the best passing numbers of his career in the past few games. I'm sure it's just an outlier, and we'll see Ayo get back to his normal self in the coming days, but I think, this was also good for us, because us Bulls fans, I know I have been anyway, really have been hyping this guy up quite a bit, and it's good to have a bit of a reality check from time to time, but you can't blame us. It's always exciting to see a second-round pick rookie from Chicago do so well. Anyway, overall, not the best game for the Bulls. There really isn't much more that you can say about it. I don't think anyone would say this was a good game, or that the Bulls played with effort for the whole 48 minutes, which is what I care about most and why I enjoyed the game last night, even though it ended in a loss. But with all that being said, I think it's still a good reminder that sometimes we need to take a step back, realize where we are and where we were before, meaning prior seasons, and recognize that this is a good Bulls team, better than any team that we've had in over a decade. And one game against the best team in the league, I know I keep saying that, but that does not completely shift the narrative for what this team looks like. Anyway, guys, the Bulls are off tomorrow. I'm going to share my thoughts in a video tomorrow on all the rumors around the Bulls being interested in Dennis Schroeder, so be on the lookout for that if you're interested. And the Bulls are right back at it on Wednesday against the Hornets. That game will be on ESPN. Until then, guys, as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.